Pecha Kucha 88 Knightfall. So I'm going to be talking predominantly about the original Batman series that's like took place between like 1993 and 94, maybe into 95, where Batman gets his back broken by Bane, and then there's a new Batman, and then the old Batman comes back. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about this documentary I watched called "Is the Man Who Was Tall Happy?" Noam Chomsky is being interviewed by an editor who makes the very conscious decision to animate the movie so that people get what Noam Chomsky is saying, not what the film director and editors have kind of changed the image, the conversation into, which is a very prescient point. It's quite a deep, surreal thing. The art's very simple because it has to be animated in traditional ways. It's kind of like a bit of a biography of Noam Chomsky, and it also talks about like how we communicate and how we kind of develop through civilization. There's a lot of stuff going on in there, and I've mostly forgotten it because it broke my brain. It goes too deep, but it was definitely something worth watching, even if I don't know if I can recommend it because I don't recall what happened. Yeah, and then this random Photoshop artist was talking about the fur brush he has, which there are a lot of ways to get where you're going, and this guy has such knowledge of Photoshop brush techniques that he's just found this way to make incredible efficiency savings, which just blows my mind. Because it's really that's how you get good digitally. I spent some time trying to figure out what Peter Parker is Peter Parker in my brain, so I figured out how I want to draw Peter Parker now, looking at just like Google searches of the different versions of him over the ages, and I've extrapolated my own version to put back into this Doctor Strange deal with the devil thing I'm slowly working on. And on the left here I've got the reference image of Doctor Strange's house, which I'm using for the establishing shots of Peter Parker going in to talk to Doctor Strange about retconning the Marvel Universe. And I was using the perspective tools in Manga Studio to kind of just try and build these things up using this one image as reference. And it's not perfect, but it's not bad for a guy who's got absolutely no idea what he's doing. So yeah, but after all that kind of clinical work, I kind of just stepped away because the panels got real small. All right, so here we go, Knightfall. Bane beats Bruce Wayne. Azrael, the new Batman, beats Bane, and then Bruce Wayne has to come back to stop Azrael, who's officially gone nuts. It's quite a long story, and I'm just going to talk about some of my observations from rereading it. So the first thing I got hit by is literally it's like the first or the second pages, and it's kind of it could be any comic from the 60s. The art's kind of mediocre, the coloring's obviously dated, and it's just I was like, oh dear, I don't remember this starting off so badly. I don't have these kind of memories. Now we're going to super skip ahead to after Batman has been broken, and the interesting thing about this is the fact that like Bruce is psychologically as well as physically broken, and to the point where Robin cries at how defeatist Bruce Wayne's being, which is not something you've seen since, right? And then the guy who replaces him, Azrael, he's a nutcase. He's he's like the Punisher in a batsuit. He's got a righteous fury, and he's he redesigns the batsuit into something as well. And this is something you don't typically see anymore. There was a brand new Batman, and then kind of in one of the halfway through this entire thing, right? There's a few writers working on this, and some of them make some political points, which is surprising because I didn't expect this in such a mainstream comic. But you know what? I guess it was always an undercurrent, and this red dude is called Anarchy, and that's kind of his thing. He has a problem with politics or whatever. An interesting side point in all of this is the ventriloquist. Basically he loses his dummy and uses a sock puppet as his new dummy, and then he gets his old dummy back, and then they end up killing each other in a gunfight. It's an interesting look on like compulsion and the psychology of a man who does things because he's compulsively obligated to do them. Scarecrow is very interesting in all of this. He routinely quotes famous authors, quoting Shakespeare several times and some other famous American authors. It adds a lot of depth to what is otherwise a one-dimensional character. Another thing that kind of is interesting about him is how thin he is, and here he is using the Crane style, a hardy ha ha. But you know, this kind of abstract expressionism is quite welcome in a comic, which you know it's farcical, so sometimes it's okay if that's represented in the art. And this is one of my favorite moments in comics ever. Commissioner Gordon's explaining something to Batman, who is behind him, and then he kind of trails off, expecting Batman to have kind of just left the way he came through the window, but Batman hasn't left, surprisingly, because it's not Bruce Wayne Batman, it's this new guy, and you can see he's got a clawed thing there because that's him starting to change the costume. A peculiar thing is this black lady who, like, Bruce Wayne was going to tell he's Batman, and she was like a love interest, and then she gets kidnapped by Bane and then vanishes out of the story because a massive part of the story is actually missing from the 3 trade paperbacks. So Bruce Wayne gets his back broken at the end of, you know, the thing, and then at the start of the 3rd trade paperback, he's doing some ninja thing. His back's healed, and we don't talk about what happened in between. It's a very peculiar thing. But it's, you know, the whole thing's a combination of lots of different Batman titles edited into a readable collection, and it clearly could have been bigger and probably should have been, because that was an interesting side plot that just evaporated. Right. God, this panel is exactly what we want Batman to be now. This righteous, insane Avenger, and that's what you'd be if you dressed up in a costume like this and started beating people up in back alleys. But what am I going to do this week? Same thing I did last week. I did my Monday blog. I should have spoken about that, but I forgot because that Noam Chomsky thing it really did break my brain. And then just be cool, you know, keep using the Cintiq. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Just pick up knowledge, pick up experience, and put the work in, I think. So that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 88, and I'll see you next time.